Hello, welcome to TVB News. The Hong Kong Marathon was held today, featuring some 74,000 runners. The organizers said the number of runners returned to pre-pandemic levels. And up until noon, more than 800 people reported injuries. One runner died after being found unconscious at Tin House Station following the marathon. The Mo Zeng Ai was at the marathon's finish line in Causeway Bay.
3, 2, 1, stop!
Just like that, the 2024 Hong Kong Marathon began. This is the first full-scale Hong Kong Marathon since the pandemic. Chief Executive John Lee and Police Commissioner Raymond Siu were among the officials at the opening ceremony at 6 a.m. in Tsim Sha Tsui. The marathon featured different categories, including full marathon, half marathon, and 10-kilometer run. Athletes are required to take on various routes based on their race categories. For instance, full marathon runners must start at Nathan Road in Tsim Sha Tsui, while the starting point for 10 km runners was the Island Eastern Corridor. But the finish point for all races was at Victoria Park in Causeway Bay. A special race, the Leader Cup, returned this year. Runners included Financial Secretary Paul Chan, lawmaker Kenneth Fok and his wife, Guo Jingjing, a former Olympic gold medalist diver. This athlete burst out in tears after finishing his race. He said it was tears of joy.
I feel amazing. I feel that it's all about consistency and effort and goals, and yeah, I feel amazing. I feel so good. I think I'm crying because I released a lot of pressure from everything I went through those couple of years. So yeah.
That was an emotional relief.
The observatory had forecast cooler weather, and runners said the conditions were better than expected.
The weather is perfect. Not too sunny, not too hot. 17, 20 degrees, it's perfect.
It wasn't as cold as expected. It got warm when the sun came out. I think the goal was to try and get under 3:30 and get the $10,000. It's quite a tough course. It's pretty hilly, and so it's quite hard to gauge your pace. But yeah, just tried my best. It was good. Lots of people on the course. It was a good atmosphere.
Marathon staff urge runners who have completed their races to move forward and not linger in the finish area. They hope the measure can help to better manage the flow of people. Mo Zeng Ai, TVB News.
Amid all the energy and enthusiasm in the marathon, a fatal tragedy beset the sporting event. One runner died after the race at Tin Hau MTR station. At least 842 runners were injured, mostly with bruises and sprains, and 39 participants were sent to hospital. The 30-year-old man who took part in the half marathon fainted around noon at Tin Hau MTR station near an escalator. After MTR staff reported the case to police, the man was rushed to Ruttunji Hospital for treatment. He was certified dead around half an hour later. Axel Siu, former president of the Hong Kong College of Emergency Medicine, said after intense exercise, people could experience sudden cardiac arrest when their body fails to adjust to the conditions, especially when coupled with congenital heart disease or other underlying conditions. At least one more male runner who participated at the 10-kilometer race suffered cardiac arrest. After undergoing cardiopulmonary resuscitation treatment, he was also rushed to hospital. Multiple injured runners too were taken to hospital. Hoping to try their best, many runners appear to have overexerted themselves and required assistance from marathon organizers, with some unable to even walk. Some injured themselves right from the start of the 10-kilometer race. Around the uphill section at the exit of Western Harbour Crossing as well. Some sprained their ankles but continued to run for an extra 10 kilometers before applying medicated oil. The Hong Kong China Association of Athletics affiliates said they will review the race internally and with the police on how to improve the routes and arrangements for the next edition of the marathon. Some runners made extra preparations for the marathon by dressing up in costumes. Let's see what Mo Zeng Ai could find over the marathon routes.
Can you spot the Incredibles? The marathon also attracted animals, including this bluebird and the famous ginger cat, Garfield. Even a Japanese game character. This full marathon runner, who was not satisfied with his performance, said his costume was important for the race.
It's Ryu from Street Fighter. I just want to add some fun to this race because I can say that the route is a little bit boring, especially this is my 7th time running this route.
Some well-known celebrities also turned into runners today. Zhao Yunfat, the local actor, was one of them. He joined the half marathon and said he took many selfies with fans during the race. The actor said he was pleased to see many elderly athletes in the event and encouraged more residents to exercise. News 9, TVB News.
Dr. Mike Kwan from the Department of Pediatrics and Adolescent Medicine at the University of Hong Kong said, as the weather is set to become colder with more social activity around the Lunar New Year holiday, there would likely be a new round of outbreaks over the coming 1 to 2 months. Dr. Kwan added people's anti-pandemic awareness has become lower as well, so it's likely the COVID-induced hospitalization rate will be ratcheted up. Another infectious disease expert from HKU, Dr. Ivan Ho, meanwhile, reminds citizens to receive COVID vaccine soon before the Lunar New Year holiday, because it takes around 2 weeks for the immunization to take effect. Foreign Minister Wang Yi met Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Saturday, with the two countries pledging to build a strong bilateral strategic partnership. Wang, also a member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee, conveyed greetings from President Xi Jinping. Wang hailed Jamaica's firm adherence to the One China principle, adding the Belt and Road cooperation between China and the Caribbean country has yielded fruitful results. The two countries hope to expand cooperation in various fields, including strengthening people-to-people exchanges. Wang said China's modernization is a useful reference for developing countries seeking rapid development while maintaining independence. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he will not compromise on full Israeli control over Gaza after the war, adding that this is contrary to a Palestinian state. This after U.S. President Joe Biden said Washington would try to work something out after Netanyahu publicly rejected any hope for a two-state solution. Naswi Karim has more.
As Benjamin Netanyahu doubles down on his vision for a post-war Gaza that doesn't include a Palestinian state, the Israeli Prime Minister is coming under increasing pressure from home and abroad. In Israel, protesters outside Netanyahu's private residence are calling for more effort to help free some 100 hostages still in captivity in Gaza and an end to his leadership. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said Netanyahu's stance will only lead to more regional strife. Guterres was speaking at a summit of the non-aligned movement in Uganda.
The refusal to accept the two-state solution for Israelis and Palestinians, and the denial of the right to statehood for the Palestinian people are unacceptable. These would indefinitely prolong a conflict that has become a major threat to global peace and security, exacerbate polarization, and embolden extremists everywhere. The right of the Palestinian people to build their own state must be recognized by all.
Meanwhile, Israel's military released footage of what they say is a tunnel in the Khan Yunis area in which at least 20 hostages were held by Hamas. In a statement, they say the tunnel is 830 meters long and 20 meters deep. The video showed several rooms with mattresses on the ground, piles of dirty dishes, and a bathroom. These Israeli protesters, though, want more than empty tunnels. They want the hostages back home in the flesh. Also in Tel Aviv, thousands gathered on Saturday calling for new elections, Netanyahu's government having been the subject of protests even before the October 7th Hamas attacks. This protest leader said the people would no longer allow failed and divisive leadership. They will not allow leadership that is unworthy of the people. It is time for a new generation in Israel. In the northern city of Haifa, an anti-war movement is gathering steam as dozens of demonstrators scuffle with police after displaying signs reading "Stop Genocide." In Gaza, 4 people reportedly killed in the southern city of Rafah after a strike on their vehicle. The residents said heavy fighting was also taking place in nearby Khan Yunis. In the occupied West Bank, the funeral was held for 17-year-old Palestinian-American Tawfiq Ajak, who was killed in an incident that is being investigated by Israeli police. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
A possible Israeli strike on the Syrian capital on Saturday destroyed an office used by the Iranian paramilitary Revolutionary Guard, killing at least 5. This had been a 4-story building. The Syrian army said the tightly guarded residence in West Damascus was entirely destroyed. Ambulances rushed to the scene to help some who were trapped. Local media say a top Iranian commander was among the victims. They said that the Israeli Air Force fired the missiles while flying over the Golan Heights. Israeli military has not commented on the explosion. Welcome back. The government is considering the possibility of increasing the ratio of subsidized housing for sale compared with rental public housing. In an interview with TVB News, Secretary for Housing Winnie Ho said the adjustment will only be introduced after 2029-2030, if at all. That's to ensure the government's plan to drive down the average waiting time for public housing won't be derailed. The government is working to reduce the average waiting time for rental public housing from the current 5.6 years to 4.5 years by 2027. But another government housing policy could be on the way that sets sights on adjusting the ratio of rental public housing to subsidized units for sale from the current 7 to 3 by increasing the proportion of subsidized housing units for sale. Would that affect the government's timetable to boost rental public housing supply? Secretary for Housing Winnie Ho told TVB News that nothing will change their goal, 4.5 years of average waiting time by 2027.
The ratio definitely has an impact on the average waiting time. The queue waiting for the public housing is very long. And so I need the time to digest this queue. But I know young families, young people are looking at the subsidized housing. They want to own their flats at a lower cost. So how to balance these factors is something that we need to calculate.
Ho said to minimize the impact, such ratio adjustments will likely be made in the second half of the government's 10-year public housing plan. She added when more subsidized housing for sale is up for grabs, some public housing tenants may try to move out and free up their units for others in need. Another linchpin to driving down the average waiting time is, as we know, the light public housing. How confident are you in terms of achieving that through 30,000 units?
I have all the confidence in my construction professionals, our construction industry, to help me to achieve the target. This was shown by their efforts in submitting in a very good tender for the first batch of light public housing. One of the factories, they're already using robotic arms in helping them to build the models. The costs of the units are helping me to drive the cost down by almost 15%. To build, say, more than 10,000 units with piling and up to 23 stories high within 2 years is extremely challenging, if not a world record.
Beijing's municipal government said today it was committed to boosting economic vitality this year, despite facing multiple challenges. It announced a GDP growth target of 5% for 2024, compared with 5.2% last year. The city's mayor Yin Yong delivered a report on government work at a meeting of the Beijing Municipal People's Congress. Yin outlined a number of challenges, including inadequate resources and environmental capacity, as well as weak market expectations. He said the city must promote high-quality development. Beijing's top leader Yin Li attended the meeting. Inner Mongolia in northern China has been inundated with snow over the weekend, leaving dozens stranded in cars and then having to be dug out by rescue teams. Around 30 vehicles got stuck with 40 people affected. Local authorities had to scramble with shovels to move snow and pull those stranded out using special 4x4s. Temperatures were below -20 degrees Celsius. There are multiple weather alerts across the north of China with extreme snowfall and gale force winds in many areas. Hip pain, arthritis, and osteoporosis, these are bone issues and painful conditions that used to be hard to treat and cure. But not anymore, thanks to some new technology that not just helps improve precision in surgery, but also expedites recovery. 67-year-old retiree Michelle had been plagued by hip pain for 6 years.
It has been a long going on problem for me. Whenever I visit a doctor, seek for professional help, they always told me, oh, it's aging, normal. And even when I walked, it got worse and worse.
That severely compromised her quality of life and thwarted Michelle's passion, dancing. Over the years, she consulted numerous doctors and orthopedic specialists. She tried physiotherapies, Chinese acupuncture, and various alternative treatments, all to little avail.
Michelle has a form of end-stage right hip osteoarthritis. So it is a form of degeneration where the cartilage is completely worn and she has bone-on-bone disease. So we can see from her x-rays there are cysts. So she has a lot of right hip pain, limiting her sitting, standing, and walking ability.
To treat that, some patients choose to undergo hip replacement surgeries. Traditionally, the major operation could lead to infection and dislocation because of margins of error in the implant's placement.
If you're using the robotic arm assistance, the error can be as little as 0 to 2 degrees of difference. But if you use conventional technique, it really depends on the experience of the surgeon. Sometimes it can deviate up to 10 degrees or even more.
Improved precision in placement and improved implants together also minimize wear and tear. The latest biomaterials of implants can last 20 years, doubling the survivorship of the conventional plastic liners. Apart from the total hip replacement surgery, this device is also capable of carrying out the knee replacement operation. With the function of haptic guidance, this robotic arm helps doctors more safely remove the damaged part of the knees and place the implants precisely.
Within 2 hours after the surgery, the physio helped me to have a little walk in the hospital. It was not very comfortable, but no pain at all.
Now it's been almost 1 year after the surgery. Michelle even joined dancing competitions overseas.
It has given me a very happy life, daily life. Every day when I walk, I enjoy it. And now I can go dancing without worrying the pain.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.